Hey, what's up guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my Seattle Mariners franchise mode series right here in MLB The Show 19. You know the deal. We left off the last episode having, of course, begun our off-season after losing in the wild card game, of course. And very quickly, it kind of spun out of control. I mean, last year we signed Javi Baez. This year, we went a little bit crazier than that, I would say, having signed Jose Barrios, Carl Edwards Jr., JD Martinez, and Joey Gallo, who, admittedly, I didn't think would sign. And because of him accepting the contract and Malik Smith re-signing, it's caused a little bit of a logjam with this team where somebody has to go. We still have some people that need to be re-signed out of this group. Ray Mitra is really the only one who would be making any money. And, well, I guess Dominguez is making a little bit, but we actually don't even have the money right now to re-sign them. So we left with the question of who goes. Now, we know at the very least that Brandon Lowe is leaving this team, but as far as the outfield is concerned, it's, again, right now, Gallo, Martinez, Jimenez, Smith, and Kelenic, with Ubayashi there who could potentially be traded or held on to as a depth option. So really, the choice is, do we trade one of Gallo, Martinez, or maybe even Malik Smith, or do we just trade Lowe and then sacrifice Kelenic in terms of putting him down in AAA for a year and seeing what happens? And unfortunately, the comments were pretty split as far as what we should have done, from what I can tell, and that doesn't help. Again, the argument's there to get rid of Gallo, to get rid of Martinez. The argument's there to get rid of Malik Smith, although I will agree, while he hasn't exactly been phenomenal at the plate in 3 out of the 4 seasons that we've had thus far, I think losing the speed that he provides to the lineup would be damaging, because the only other guy with a decent amount of speed is Kelenic and Ray Mitra. So I'm a little bit afraid to get rid of Smith just because, again, losing that extra bit of speed could be pretty damaging. But there's no doubt that Jared Kelenic should be in the lineup, so I don't exactly want to stunt his development by playing him in AAA for an extra season. So really it comes down to Gallo, Martinez, you know, one of those two. I mean, unfortunately, one of them has to go. And I mean, the argument for JD Martinez, of course, is that he's been regressing. He's 35 years old, but he was outrageous last year. And of course, the argument with Gallo is that he's inconsistent. We don't know what we're going to get from him. And they're fair arguments for sure. Now, I don't even know if I'm going to make this choice immediately. The first thing that I want to do is get rid of Brandon Lowe, because again, we know he's on the way out with Riley, India, Baez, and Ray Mitra, who does need to sign. As it is, Javi Baez might not even be long for this team. He wasn't amazing last year. Perhaps it's Javi Baez who ends up being moved out, and we go with India at second and Mitra at short. That wouldn't be the worst idea. Of course, Ray Mitra is actually 76, not a 74. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team shapes up heading into into this next season, because I don't know what we're ultimately going to look like. And of course, as well, we do have arguably one more reliever than we need. Pedro Rodriguez could be played in the minors this upcoming season because he hasn't been great. Unfortunately, he hasn't been miserable, but after the signing of Carl Edwards Jr., ideally somebody would be the odd man out, and it could very well be Tommy Hunter, although he was great last year once we signed him at the midway point of the season. Kyle Crockett was phenomenal. Again, somebody else who joined this team after not playing in the majors for a few seasons. Dan Altavilla was looking good. It's a wonderful problem to have. It really is, if you think about it. Just knowing that this team, has turned the corner. And for the record as well, I meant to bring this up. Someone left a comment, and I'm sorry, I might put the comment on the screen, I might forget. Some people have an issue with the 15-year contracts, but again, this is why I asked you guys at the start, just how crazy, how over the top do we want to be? Are there any restrictions in terms of building this team? Because much like with the NHL series, there's obviously a decent amount of ways to sit here and just fleece the AI GMs and to get these contracts. There's no punishment whatsoever. We're probably going to take that Marlins offer, by the way, just because there's no salary involved. I don't care what I get back for Lowe. Yeah, we're taking that Marlins offer. But that's the thing, there's no punishment for signing someone to a 15-year deal. The opposing GMs don't factor that in. They're just like, oh yeah, sure, we'll take the player. So, you know, call it an exploit because it basically is. But again, that's why we asked the question, and we decided early on, you guys decided early on, that it was going to be just sign the best players that you can, build the best team that you possibly can. And thus, here we are. Now, before we move forward, now that Brandon Lowe is off of this team, we do need to figure out, the 40-man is also full, is it not? Which is disastrous, really. Okay, let's see. How much time do we have again? We have until December 2nd, but we only have until the 20th to get these guys on the 40-man. So let's, and again, Ubayashi. He is the one that's really going to cause problems in terms of trying to re-sign people. I'm more worried about these guys, of course. We could just let Ubayashi go. We have to get rid of a big-time deal. We have to. Trying to avoid it, but it's got to be done. So again, that comes down to either Javi Baez, Gallo, Martinez, or Malik Smith. And the way I view the outfield, I mean, it's going to be either one of these two at DH, whoever stays. Jimenez in left, Kelenic probably in right, Smith in center, or if we get rid of Smith, say Joey Gallo plays the field and then JD Martinez at DH. I understand the concerns about JD, especially with him being 35, but man, he is just an absolute monster within franchise mode. He really, really is. And the problem with JD, of course, he's not on the most expensive deal right now. Joey Gallo is getting paid just a tiny bit more, and then Smith is making $10 million this season. But obviously, if we move one out, we're going to be looking fine. So let's see here. Javi Baez is making $16 million. And I got to be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards getting rid of him. But someone in the outfield probably has to go anyway, because again, it would be Gallo, Jimenez, Smith, Kelenic. One of the outfielders has to go. But then again, Javi Baez probably has to go too, because we want Ray Mitra to play to continue to develop. And Jonathan India, there's really no reason to get rid of him. He's been fine. He was better than Baez last year. I gotta be honest, I think we end up shopping Javi Baez, and we still get rid of an outfielder. As absolutely absurd as that is. But I think it has to be done. And again, I like having the speed with Smith and Kelenic out there. It's got to be between Gallo and JD. And I think we're going to get rid of Gallo. He's making more. He's a little bit more inconsistent. And JD Martinez, you bring him in as a veteran hitter. He won't be here for long. He certainly won't be here for the 15. I think those are the two to move out. And again, we have Eloy, Malix, and Jared Kelenic in the outfield. JD Martinez as the DH. Ubayashi can stay for the upcoming year as a depth option. And then the infield will be Mitra, Riley, India, and of course Pete Alonso at first. It's not too bad. It's not too bad, I suppose. So let's do this. Let's see what the hell is available. I doubt we're able to get just a prospect. Yeah, there's just way too much money. We might have to trade them separately. Yeah, not exactly interested in Corey Seager. Is there any offer here that magically doesn't result in me having to take on a ton of money? I highly doubt it. Jamison Tyon, who's only making 19 somehow. Lindor and Victor Mesa. Only 14 million. Cole Winn, Odor, and Julio Pablo Martinez. I feel like we could take that. I mean, it would be nice just to get Cole Winn into the system and then, flip Odor and Martinez. Ohtani and Michael Givens from the Angels. Jesus. And for how much, I mean, not that I'd really want either of them because we're looking good. I think we'll trade them separately. Let's see what we can get for Joey Gallo. Hopefully there is just a prospect offer. I'm going to look mainly from the NL, of course. Joe David and Charlie Jordan. Silva's not too special. Josh Dawkins at catcher, but I wish he was a little bit younger. Cole Winn and Hans Krause. Again, another offer. We could pick up Cole Winn for nothing. You get Robbie Ramirez back. I think that's the way to do it. We're going to trade Joey Gallo back to Texas for Cole Winn and outfielder Robbie Ramirez. That frees up a ton of cash, and we're also going to deal Javi Baez. I didn't think it would be this short term of a deal for Baez, but here we are. The trade for David and Jowers could be worth it. Batista and Hansen. Vladimir Batista is looking like a bit of a beast, but I'm not sure. Herb Jeffers and Tadahito Fukumori. My God, yep, he's too good to pass up. 18A and a 72. We'll make this deal with the Marlins. We're sending Javi Baez down to Miami for Tadahito Fukumori and Thomas Jones. That frees up the money that we needed to free up. Ray Mitra will be on this team still. JD Martinez will be the DH heading into next season. So now you see the cash flow to just over $2 million bucks. And again, we will be able to sign pretty much everybody that we're looking to sign there. So let's move forward another day because I still want to get to the draft in this episode. Hopefully we can move quickly enough. And unfortunately, actually no. Okay, so there we go. Ubayashi ended up re-signing. And the only holdout right now is Dominguez, which hopefully we can sort out, but we have until December 2nd. So the 40-man is our next big concern, but we know that we have the ability to trade whoever we need to. Those three being on the 40-man's fine. Eric Hoyt being on the 40-man kind of sucks. He's a decent depth option, but it still kind of sucks. And it's irrevocable waivers for him. So we might try to deal Eric Hoyt just to get something for him. Robbie Ramirez being on the 40-man's a disaster. So I don't know if I'm going to be allowed to just flip him right back. And then Dominguez is obviously solid, but that's not what we're looking for. We will try to trade Alvarez, Ramirez, and Hoyt here, though, first. We'll look for just the best 3-for-1 we can find to reduce the amount of people on the roster. So let's see what we can do there just to free up these spots and kind of get one prospect back. Ideally, again, I'd only want one person back just to free up these spots. Let's get the best individual back that we possibly can. And Darren Moran is arguably the best. He is the best. 19 being a 61. We'll get another starting pitcher here, sending that trio to Atlanta. And let's double check here. In terms of total 40-man spots, we are at 35. So we do have space now. We can add Brennan Davis just to make sure we don't lose him. And, God, yeah, we still have some other guys. Prado, Vientos. This is going to be tough. Some of these guys are going to have to go, ultimately. And that sucks. But for now, we'll add them to the 40-man and then figure out what we're doing from there. But there are going to be some casualties. Although, we only need 2 more. Ashcraft and Rodriguez. And I think I'd be fine with leaving either of them. I'm not opposed to losing any of those 3. So we're golden. We just need Dominguez to sign. And we're fine. I mean, obviously, as Trevor Williams goes to the Twins, James Paxton to New York. I mean, obviously, there were some sacrifices. Byron Buxton to the Red Sox. There were some sacrifices. We do lose Javi Baez. We lose Joey Gallo. We lose Brandon Lowe. But overall, I mean, the addition of Jose Barrios, again, to just, I mean, that is a dominant rotation. The bullpen is also looking amazing. Again, we have been able to take a little bit of a shortcut in terms of the rebuilding process just for the amount of free agents that we've been able to bring in. But I think we're looking pretty damn good. It's just whether or not we made the right choices with who to stick with. But we are going to be able to just cruise our way to the Rule 5. Tim Anderson also to Boston. So the Red Sox stocking up. Adam Frazier to Washington. Highly doubt there's anybody we take in Rule 5. Minnesota lands Jose Ramirez. Yasmani Grandal dealt to the Angels. Tyler Skaggs, the big piece going back. And there you go. Aaron Judge goes to San Francisco. A lot of people, at least a couple of people were saying, hey, maybe still go for Judge. But at this point, it's like, okay, go for Judge. I'd have to deal JD again and then not have a guarantee of getting Judge because I have had players turn down max interest 15-year deals before. So, yeah, those are tough ones. So we don't end up with Aaron Judge, but to get JD Martinez and to still have, Eli Jimenez in the outfield, I'm feeling pretty good. Like I said, can't imagine we're going to be taking anybody here. If we lose somebody, then so be it. Catcher-wise, well, Chris Oakey. Or Josh Morgan, for that matter. Roman Kessler. hasn't exactly been the best backup catcher in the world. He hasn't been bad by any stretch. Although technically, if we were to pick up someone like Oki here, we'd probably drop Kessler. And I'd probably go for Josh Morgan. He's a little bit more well-rounded. Jesus. Second, third, and short, huh? The ultimate utility, Josh Morgan. I almost feel like I have to take him now. And then maybe he's the backup catcher this year over Kessler. Unless we wanted to go for Miguel Amaya. And it might finally be time to just, you know, let him be the backup catcher to Alfaro. That could very well be done. Second base, we don't need anybody there. Third, we don't need anybody there. Gavin Lux is available at short, but again, we're just stocked in terms of infield prospects. So I think we're fine. Yeah, we're fine. We'll pass. Let's get to the beginning of free agency. To the beginning of free agency. To the beginning of spring training. Please don't send me back to the beginning of free agency. Archie Bradley gets dealt to the Mets, mainly for Chad Green. And, of course... Wow, actually, wait, never mind. Joey Gallo just got flipped again. So, you know what? I don't feel bad about flipping Joey Gallo because Texas then immediately flips him to Houston for Francis Martez and Ryan Presley. So, I don't feel bad about moving Joey Gallo at all anymore. You know, you acquire someone only to flip him. Hey, guess what? The AI just did it too. So, I don't feel bad one bit. So let's take a look here. We know, of course, that we're going to have to change a couple of things around. And unfortunately, there are no better scouts except for Jamie Cottle. Jaime Cottle. We'll sign him up. And as far as the team is concerned, I'm still tempted to trade Kessler. We do still need a backup catcher. I don't know. I still feel like Amaya would be better suited in AAA. But, I don't know. That's a tough one. Can I send him down still? I can. I think we'll go one more year of Roman Kessler. And we'll send Miguel Amaya back down. And, of course, I'm going to have to fill out the roster. Nick Prado as the backup first baseman is the move for this season. Marcel Self will probably be in AAA. Gabe Little will still be in AAA. We're going to have to try and send down Serrano and Vientos. Vientos, I don't know if I'll be able to. Okay, I still can. Shortstop-wise, Poisson, of course. It's optional waivers, so I'll be able to avoid losing him. He should clear. Most players do in spring training. Brennan Davis needs to go down. And Ubayashi, of course, still there. Dominguez needs to go down as well. And we'll see if he clears. He should. Since starting pitching is going to be those 6. So Chad Kuhl will be the long reliever this year. Cole Winn will be the ace down in AAA. And Wilkerson will have to go down to AAA. So then AA is going to be Ashcraft, Bryce Wilson, who needs to go through waivers. Avi Perez will be in AA. Fukumori, who we acquired, will also be in AA, so that is, of course, 5, and then 6 is Nakayama. So, from the looks of it, we have too many starting pitching prospects. So, someone like Doug Coggin is definitely on the way out. No doubt about that. He is 100% gone. Yeah, we have way too many starting pitching prospects. Some of these guys, it's not going to be pretty. We're going to lose some decent prospects, but that's just the way it works. Avi Perez will probably be dealt as well. And you know what? We can just go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off now because we know it's got to happen. So Doug Coggin, Avi Perez, and Aaron Wilkerson. We'll try to shop these 3. See what hopefully the best individual prospect we can get back is. I know there are some decent deals, like picking up Dan Pinero. Might not be that bad. Actually, technically, we do need some depth options. Sheraton Apostle is there. 3 Bs, but they're all terrible. I typically look for the best individual guy back because that's the best, best bang for your buck. There's the most value there. But nothing's really looking all that good here, unfortunately. I mean, Hansen has that A potential. It's going to take him forever to develop, but you know what? He might be the guy. Either that, it's we bolster up the outfield and another shortstop. Not that we need it. Okay, it's either we take the catcher in Hansen, or we go for that deal, which isn't really great if you think about it. Let's take that Diamondbacks offer. Guevara and Valdez are terrible, but they can help fill out the roster where we'd need to sign free agents anyway. And Hansen is a long-term option at catcher. Not that I expect him to be overly successful, but hey, he's there and we'll see what he can do. So again, AAA. We're going to move up Ashcraft. Wilson would go down to, well, Wilson's on waivers, so let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Rodriguez, and 6 with Mercado. How many guys in single do we have? 3. That's acceptable. Although Chris Rodriguez and Bryce Wilson being dealt, not the worst idea with their age. So that'll probably be done once Wilson clears waivers, and if he gets claimed, I'll probably just let him go. So actually here, let's skip forward a little bit. Couple of days, we'll see what happens there, and we can just auto fix. That's fine. I imagine that they cleared, and it looks like they did. So again, AAA is going to be 4, 5, and 6 with Ashcraft. Let's go ahead and trade the overagers here. Not overagers, but the guys who are getting a little bit up there compared to everybody else. It'll be those 2 that we look to shop. Don't expect to get much back. Although Desmond Kirkpatrick, I'm not really afraid to trade to the AL when I'm moving players like this. And Kirkpatrick's an interesting one. Eric Pardinho's a little bit more of an interesting one. Justin Olsen from the Tigers, excuse me, I think. You know what, let's go for the high risk, high reward with Desmond Kirkpatrick from the Baltimore Orioles, and we'll hope for the best on that front. So again, I think we're looking good. Just so that you can see, obviously I'm going to have to fill out the roster a little bit using free agents. It's not going to be anybody overly spectacular, but I wanted to give you guys a chance to see what the majority of this lineup is going to look like. So we'll have 2 guys down in single. Could argue Kirkpatrick being in single is not the way to go, and I would tend to agree with you. We'll actually swap him and Moran around. So in terms of that pitching talent, we're looking really good. 4, 5, and 6 with Hunter. So Joey Gerber will be sent down. I was going to say he should clear waivers. He wasn't even affected by it. I think it's kind of a tough call here with Pedro. Luciano's on waivers. He should clear. But unless we send down Chad Kuhl, I think Pedro's just kind of screwed. I got to be honest. I'm going to send down Pedro for this season. He's been a little bit hit or miss. We'll start him down in triple, and if any of these guys slip up, mainly, you know, Tommy Hunter, who we're looking at as the veteran. Crockett, I don't expect to slip up, but if anybody does slip up, we'll be able to, you know, stop that and hopefully have them, you know, we have the built-in replacement in the minors, as I lost my train of thought. So it's between Gabe Little, Serrano, and Garcia as far as who gets the call-up to be the extra infield option. And it is going to be Luis Garcia with how versatile he is. He is not a great bat, but we'll still bump him up. So that is going to be what this team looks like this year. Again, I'm going to have to sign some free agents, and we'll take a quick scroll through once I do. Of course, you know, closer to the draft or whatever. But that is the team this year. Flaherty, Berrios, Lucchesi, Paddock, and Marquez, which is insane. Chad Kuhl is the long reliever. And as far as the setup is concerned, we'll start with Oberg and Brennan as the 1-2 punch setup and close. Although, if we wanted to base it off of clutch, Altavia and Edwards. You know what? Let's maybe do that. Let's go Dan Altavia, and we'll go with Carl Edwards as the closer for now. That, of course, can change. AAA and AA lineup, of course, won't be set anyway. And then as far as the actual lineup is concerned, oh, God. Ubayashi obviously won't be in against righties. We'll be playing Malik Smith there. And I'll mix up the team where I can't. Wow, I put JD Martinez at shortstop. What the hell, game? What the hell is that? That is insane. There we go. That's better. Jonathan India can play short. That's fine. Riley at third. And then, of course, Ray Mitra at second. Although Mitra plays shortstop by default. India can't play second. Might give Jonathan India the ability to play second. I don't like editing players, and, you know, changing them around too much, but I feel like that's fair to give Jonathan India the ability to play the rest of the infield. So let's go second base and short. There we go. So at least that way he is where we need him to be. But we will quickly set up the lineup because, again, this is going to be, you know, exactly what we're lining up as this year. So Smith will start leadoff to begin this year. And from there, it's a tough call who's hitting second. We don't have anybody with an extreme high vision rating aside from Smith, which again is why I feel relatively justified in having kept him on this roster. We'll stick with Kelenic just because he has speed, and we'll see what happens. And I think as far as how we'd want this team to be, I mean, Alfaro was our best last year, but as far as how I'd want this team to be, we'll go Jimenez, Martinez. Let's go Alonso, Alfaro, Riley, Jonathan India, and Ray Mitra. Now, India was great last year, but like I said, ideally, he doesn't, you know, he doesn't factor in, we'll say. And then Malik Smith, of course, will be in center with Kelenic and right. So that's pretty much how the team is going to shape up. When we don't play with the DH, it probably will be JD who takes a seat. We're going to exclusively use him as a DH this year. So we will see what this team looks like. We're going to make that jump cut towards the draft, but it should be an interesting year for us. Not that I believe in the standings, but hey, it's looking pretty good. That could change though by the time the beginning of the season rolls around. So unfortunately, I have to join you before we're actually at the draft. Jarred Kelenic has a nice little injury going on now here, doesn't he? 2 to 3 months with a torn calf muscle. The good thing is that, of course, we do have Seiji Obayashi, although, as you'll be able to see, I mean, 6-14 on the season, we are not exactly, we're not exactly off to a flying start here, are we? So, just to get you a look, of course, we're in the middle of scouting. I mean, obviously, again, this lineup is what you would expect. You know, we helped, you know, fill out the roster in both double and AAA. Didn't sign any major free agents, of course, just people to fill out the roster. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to Seiji Obayashi. That's what we have him. That's what we have him here for. He is going to get a big-time opportunity here, stepping into this lineup. Of course, I'm going to keep an eye on the team. That is a major issue. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on the team as we move forward. Jonathan India is still killing it. We'll probably make adjustments, but yeah, Jarred Kelenic hurt. Lovely. All right, guys, here we go. Draft day is upon us. To be honest, I lost track. Normally, I'll give you a look at the record and whatnot before we get into it. I think it was 31-27 as I clicked there, but I cannot confirm. Just kind of snuck up on me the fact that the draft is here. We have the 22nd pick in the first round. Let's see if we can do some damage before we change our focus back to the team and the current problems at hand. We start off J.J. Kell, who just isn't good at all. Lauren Barber isn't good at all. The amount of walks that you're going to give up, that's a disaster. John Bowman, it's still not great. He's 21, he's 4+ years away. That is just not for me. Billy Kalita is not great. Again, wow, this is a terrible start. Andy Williamson, we know, will probably be good. A closer with 80 potential. Aside from the walks being a little bit low, yeah, he lives up to the hype. And aside from that, my last hope, Guy Peterson, perhaps Guy, is the pick. Absolutely. You win. A winner is you. You're the pick. Unless Rick Ferriola, I've never seen that name before. Whew. I don't know if we can trust that. God damn. So Peterson's a little bit more trustworthy. I gotta go with Peterson just because there's a chance Rick here could fall to a 70. I've seen it happen. So Rick might be amazing, but we're gonna go with Peterson here to start. And then hopefully Williamson's still on the board later. Or the other dude here as we're getting down to it. I don't have a pick in the second round because of competitive balance. Okay, well, whoever I was hoping was on the board is definitely gone by the end of it. Yep, so it's going to be a whole whole new batch of players. So let's start off with Todd Clemente, who is an absolute no. Jarrett Dickens, that's gonna be a no from me as well. Chris Trujillo, hello. Not bad. Lacking a power game, but I can put up with that. Not too shabby there. Randall Denny is terrible, so Trujillo's definitely still the guy for now. And in general is the guy. So we're going to take the shortstop. Good old Randall, the Texan. He is the pick, but yeah, the lack of an extra selection there hurt quite a bit. As next up, we don't have that many more people scouted out. We start off here, really with these just top three. Matt Ames is not ideal. Jose Rosales is not ideal. And Jackson Perez has a little bit of a power game, but everything else is terrible. So we're pretty much in just take a guess territory, which more often than not means we'll look for overly ridiculous names. I saw a Dan Marino in a draft on Twitch earlier tonight, so there's that. But let's see what we got going on here. And I mean, in terms of names, it's not Robbie Roberts. I mean, just for the alliteration, double R, Robbie Roberts might be the guy. Yeah, because I'm not seeing any great names here. Hideki Ono, Giancarlo Blanco, Frank Guerrero. Maybe if it was an Eddie Guerrero, but yeah, this isn't good. Tommy McManus. You better be from Scotland with a name like that. Ohio, sure, same place. Same place. Ken Delabate. So I don't think we're going to get lucky with any kind of crazy, funny, and or stupid names. So we'll go, probably just go right back down to the bottom here. So for the 18-year-olds, I mean, there's a catcher, a third baseman, and two outfielders. We'll take the catcher, Ken Sandberg, and we'll hope by some miracle he's actually half decent. Kind of sucks by the time I get to the fourth round. I got to go for best guess selections, but here we are. And we'll go for Jason Scruggs, the 18-year-old outfielder. Let's see what else here. One more pick in this draft. Very quick process for us this time out. And it's going to be either Blair, Lau, McNeil, or Hirsch. And we will go... I don't even know if I can trust the pitch types. Let's go for the youngest. Let's take Alan Blair. And I can say with certainty that I am not expecting anything great for us here. We are currently 31-27, 5 games back of Oakland, and currently 4 games back in the wild card, despite being the third-rated team, which again, I don't really put too much stock into those ratings. I can almost guarantee it doesn't add up. What we'll do, let's take a look at the draft, and then we'll take a look at the player stats here. We'll probably end it here on June 1st. And then beginning of next episode, of course, we'll go to the All-Star break. We'll sim up to the deadline and see if there are any changes to be made. So let's take a look here. So Peterson is going to be signed, but obviously, I mean, the lack of a power game, like he is a DH. He is a DH. That is it. 19-year-old Guy Peterson. From there, it's a whole bunch of C's. Denny, Sandberg, Scruggs, and Blair. And I'm not going to sign any of them. Ouch. I have been on a bad run of form with drafts on this game over the past couple of days, and unfortunately, it continues. So let's take a look here. Again, unfortunately, in terms of the injured list, we have a ton of injuries in the minors. But Scott Oberg and Tommy Hunter have both been roughed up a little bit. Jared Kelenic, of course, with that torn calf. And unfortunately, I mean, only 17 games played. He was really, really struggling. So it's a little bit concerning with the moves we made. We'll start off with the pitching rotation thus far. Jack Flaherty, though, phenomenal. 6-1 record on the year. Tremendous ERA. Tremendous FIP. He has been great. Jose Barrios, 8-2 on the season. Tremendous ERA, tremendous whip, tremendous FIP. Those two living up to their potential. Joey Lucchesi so far, not great. A 3-4 record, a 4.5 ERA. The FIP, though, is good, which means, obviously, you know, if you you take fielding really out of the equation, he's been all right. So, yeah, there are some warning signs, but I'm not worried about him too much. Chris Paddock, 3-5 on the year. The ERA is, it's okay. And Paddock is the inverse. Paddock hasn't exactly been what we were hoping he would be. He wasn't what he was last year thus far. Hopefully that changes. And unfortunately, German Marquez, who was a deadline pickup last year, is okay. The ERA is a little bit high, but still, for what these two are capable of in particular, it hasn't been great. Chad Kuhl, as the long reliever, has been fine, if not great, so no complaints there. Scott Oberg, of course, currently roughed up. The whip is, I mean, a 1.32 is okay, but that is abysmal. So, of course, we got Oberg at the deadline from Colorado. We need to see improvements, or he's being moved out by the trade deadline. And, of course, we can look at the likes of Pedro Rodriguez, who is ripping AAA to shreds as his in-house replacement. Kyle Crockett, oh my God, so this has clearly been the issue. Our bullpen, guys that were solid last year, abysmal this year, and you could argue we should make the changes now. But Oberg and Crockett have both been god-awful, and it looks like Tommy Hunter's in the same boat. The bullpen that was so strong for us last year has been abysmal. Oberg, Crockett, and Hunter don't deserve to be on this team right now. Brandon Brennan, who of course we got rid of and then we brought back because, oh hey, look at that, we're competitive earlier than we thought. He's been fine. Dan Altavilla, oh no, a 5.4 ERA. But a tremendous FIP rating. Go figure. Probably shouldn't be the setup man, but still, that's pretty good. And then Carl Edwards Jr., the ERA's fine, the whip's pretty good. He hasn't been great either, man. That's a shame. This bullpen really letting us down. I think the bottom three are safe, but I want to know what you guys think. I'll leave it up to you. Do we get rid of Hunter, Crockett, and Oberg like right now, or do we give them a little bit of time to turn it around? But we have a couple of players who are underperforming thus far, and it would certainly explain why, you know, the record is only 4 games over 500. Lineup-wise, Malik Smith, whether or not it was worth keeping him, I think we made the right choice. 4.33 on-base percentage as a leadoff man, 15 steals, a 968 OPS, which could very well be a team high, so he has been tremendous. Seiji Ubayashi, of course, we kept as a depth option, despite the fact that we're paying him $3.8 million. But he's been okay. I mean, right now, he has the highest OPS he's ever had. Well, he's been a member of this team. 9 home runs, 31 RBIs, a .310 on base. Probably shouldn't be hitting second, but still, all in all, not too bad. It could be worse. Eloy Jimenez. Eloy Jimenez. It's better, but still not amazing. 10 home runs, an 819 OPS. It's good, but it's not what you want from someone of that caliber. He needs to step it up. The problem is, at the end of next year, he's a free agent, and we're going to have to hand out the big money. And if he is, still underperforming a bit around this time next year, we're going to have to debate trading him because he's going to be a $31 million player, and that is not ideal, at least not at this point. JD Martinez, the average has gone up a little bit. He is down to an 88, and unfortunately, he's fallen off. And I know the question is going to be, well, what does a certain someone in Houston look like? And the answer is a hell of a lot better. So we may have made the wrong choice on that front. We may have. And granted, I think we would have made the infield change regardless. Meaning that I think Javi Baez was going to be dealt no matter what, because obviously we wanted to get certain people into the lineup, mainly Ray Mitra. But yeah, thus far we made the wrong choice, which is heartbreaking in a way. And I think, again, as we move in towards the deadline, if JD doesn't really start turning it around, again, he has a movable contract, even though it shouldn't be. But maybe we look to move on. And I mean, down in the system, at the very least, someone like Gabe Little could potentially get the call up. Marcel Self, probably too early to call him up, but he's ripping AAA a new one right now. And obviously, we could just look to find JD's built-in replacement with a deal. So, I mean, Smith is obviously safe. Eloy, we're going to have to consider that in the future. But right now, JD Martinez, along with a couple of those pitchers, their future is very much in doubt. As is Pete Alonso. He has just not been what we need him to be. Now, he has 2 years left as opposed to 1, but he's 28 years old, and you have to ask just how close are we? You know, how much time do we give him? And I gotta be honest, I'm not sure if he has much time left. And this is kind of what I was worried about as we get guys like Alonso and Jimenez. If they didn't pan out, it was going to put us into a really tough spot. And you could argue Jimenez, I mean, he's looking better, but if it's not even better than what it is now, we might have to debate trading him before the end of that contract. And now it's the same thing with Pete Alonso, although that contract ends later, but he's already 28 years old and the numbers just aren't there. I mean, in terms of built-in replacements, I mean, Nick Pratto could be given a shot for now, and then obviously Marcel Self is in the system. And, you know, if you factor in trading Martinez and Alonso, you'd like to think we could pick up a first baseman who's getting the job done. But yeah, it's pretty disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, Jorge Alfaro has been a shell of what he was last year. I mean, 29 years old. He's going to be looking for a big money deal, and we have to ask ourselves whether or not he's the guy. This is his third season now in Seattle. He went from meh. I got to fight off a sneeze here. Jump cut. All right, I feel better. You get the point with Alfaro, though. Meh, pretty damn good, pretty damn bad. And I think regardless of where we are in the playoffs, we might have to look at moving on from him because, I mean, granted, I'm not going to want to pay him the big money. He's not going to be looking for a full $31 million contract, but he's an 87. He's going to be looking for somewhere in the teens, more than likely, maybe even the low 20s. It's concerning. Austin Riley at 25, better numbers as well. So in a similar spot to Jimenez, has 2 years left after this, so we'll see how it goes, but obviously more impressed with Riley and Jimenez as opposed to Alfaro, Alonso, and Martinez. Jonathan India, a little bit off of last year's pace, but I can forgive him, and of course we still have contract control, which is beautiful. And then Ray Mitra, 279 average on the season, a 798 OPS, not too bad for him. And again, compared to what Javi Baez did last year, I'd rather let Mitre play and see what he can do. So the question is already there, again, for the pitching staff. We're going to give Paddock and Marquez time to turn it around, but Oberg, Crockett, and Hunter, how quickly do we pull the trigger on making changes there? And then Martinez, Alonso, and Alfaro. Major concerns there as well. And again, even if we make moves and take a bit of a step back, we're still going to be in a relatively decent spot, even if we have brought some veterans onto the team to try and make a difference, guys like Brennan and Carl Edwards over the past year. But it's, I don't know, it's a bit problematic. But like I said, we're only on June 1st. There's time to turn it around. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be weird. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here over this next episode. In the next one, we will finish up the regular season one way or another. Will it be playoff time in Seattle again, or are we going to be taking a little bit of a step back, an unexpected and disappointing step back? We will find out. Thank you guys very much for watching. As always, it is appreciated. I love you. I will see you next time. And I feel like I say this a lot, but hopefully we can end an episode on a bit more of an optimistic tone.